Okay, so I was gonna film this on Saturday because I got my hair did and it was all fresh, and then I was lazy. And then I was gonna film it on Sunday, but then there was the Super Bowl. And then life happened, and I've been a hot mess, and I've just been feeling things all week.
I just have a lot of feelings.
And you might be asking, but Hannah, why are you filming this if you've been a hot mess all week and you've been all emotional? Well, I have found that when you're having a kind of rough week, you gotta find some little bits of happiness, like your hairstyle is showing off your hair right after it's done on social media. Or a coworker who was just really nice to you and made your day feel a little bit better. And that kind of got me thinking about little bits of happiness and even my blog title. And I came to realize that the little things of happiness that make me feel a little better when I am having emotional weeks are writing and our books and stuff. So I really haven't gotten into a whole lot about why I started this blog or even this vlog. The vlog was kind of a more recent thing, but the blog was to get myself back into writing. And so I just want to start this video by saying if you've ever supported my writing, I just want to say a huge thank you to you. Whether that was in the classroom or after, over cake or over wine, just thank you so much for helping me realize that I have such a great passion for writing. Over one particular glass of wine, I was told by someone very special that I could consider myself to be a writer, and that really gave me the confidence to share my work with others, and it gave me the confidence to start my blog, to start writing for a newspaper, and to start writing my book again. I kind of teased a little bit about that on social media the other day if you followed me. But yeah, so I just really hope that even though I've had a bit of a rough week, by taking this time to sit with y'all and talk about books, something I love, that it can bring me just a little bit more happiness. So, hello and welcome back after that very vulnerable and self-disclosing intro. I'm ready to finally share with you my book that I have this week. I was feeling a little extra cozy. I've got my favorite first lines mug here with some good old chocolate, and I have my book for this week, The Essex Serpent by Sarah Perry. So I'm not going to read you a first line, but I'm going to read you a line that when I read it last week, it kind of stuck out to me, and then for the past couple days it's just been sticking out to me a little bit more. So one of the characters is talking to the main character, Cora, and she says, "Cora, you cannot always keep yourself from the things that hurt you. We all wish we could, but we cannot. To live is to be bruised." And I think I wanted to start off with that quote because I feel like this is just a very quotable book. There are lots of really good lines in here. There's lots of really good description. Overall, I think the thing that I loved most about this book was the characters and the plot of it. The plot was really interesting. It follows this young widow who loses her husband while living in London, and then she moves out to the country. And I think some of why this book really resonated with me too, kind of going back to my intro of my video, is that this woman is just in a time where women didn't necessarily have to be intelligent. She's just sharp as a whip, and she's passionate about anthropology and archaeology, and she wants to find this mysterious Essex serpent and prove that it does or does not exist. There are a couple of references throughout the book to her getting into the British Museum for her dedication to it, which was really cool because it was just very empowering in a kind of subtle way. Some of the other characters that I loved in the book were the parson in the small town in Essex. His name's William Ransom, and he was just a really wholesome character, and it was really interesting to see his internal struggle as he felt kind of conflicting things about Cora, because at the very beginning he thinks that maybe she's kind of trouble because has the intelligence of a man, but by the end of it he has a really deep appreciation for her, and you might even say love, but at the same time he has so many feelings for his family and his wife and his way of life in this small town that he feels very conflicted with Cora because she's new and she's shiny and she's bright and she's metropolitan, and it's just different. If I have to complain about anything in this book, it would be a little bit because of something I mentioned last week with the focalization. This book changes focalization a ton. It goes back and forth between characters. It talks from other characters' perspectives, sometimes spontaneously. There were times when I would have to reread a few sections just because I wasn't really sure who was talking. And moreover, there were times when they would mention a character and I didn't know who it was. Kind of to prove the point, and I should have marked it. They mentioned some character, I want to say his name is Thomas. And I'm like, who the heck is Thomas? Where did he come from? Well, it turns out he's the man with no legs who sits begging in the middle of the street in this tiny little town. So I felt like that was just a little bit frustrating because it was almost a little distracting to be shuttled from character's perspective to character's perspective to here's a new character and these are his thoughts and feelings. And there was a time even when one character disappears for chapters and a very similar character comes back, and at first you think, oh, it's them, they're back, but then there's a little mention of like gender or their behavior or something, and you think, oh, well, maybe it isn't them, maybe it's just someone else. And then you're like, well, why is she introducing a character 2/3 of the way through the book? But plot twist, it's that first character that you thought it was. So that was just a little bit difficult for me, just the breadth of characters and the diverse perspective that the book is written from. But all that considered, I really, truly enjoyed the depth of the characters. I loved how round Perry wrote them. I thought it was just really, really well done. You really got a sense of Cora and of William Ransom and of the doctor Luke Garrett who's in love with her and his friend who's in love with Cora's companion. And it's really interesting too because all these characters are just so deeply defined and they all interact with each other in these really interesting ways. Another thing that I really liked about this book was its layout. So especially when it comes to historical fiction, I really enjoy having a sense of when it's taking place. And so there are a few dates kind of throughout. There are a few months, so you can kind of figure out that the whole book takes place over about the course of the year. But in addition to the prose, where it's just normal narrative, there are also these really cool letters between the characters, or even a diary entry from this one particular character. When Stella is her name, when she's sick with tuberculosis, and she kind of goes a little senile and is obsessed with blue, and she writes this poetry and stuff, and it's just so interesting to read, and it's just so artfully done. I really enjoyed the book overall. It was a little bit of a long read. I actually have a job now, so I don't have as much time to just cuddle up with a book as I used to, so it does take me a little longer in general, but with it being a 400-page book, in the first, I don't know, maybe quarter of it being a lot of exposition, I thought once you got past that, it was just such a captivating read, and I wanted more time to read it in larger sittings, and it was just a little difficult for me to do that. So if you have time to set aside, definitely recommend this book. If you like historical fiction, definitely check it out. It's a really well written book, and I really think that anyone would like it. And I think the only reason why you might not is just simply if you don't have a whole lot of patience for changing characters' perspectives, or if you're like trying to do character maps or something, and because there's a lot and it's a little bit difficult to keep track of everyone. So that's all I've got for this book. I have an exciting announcement. So as I mentioned in my intro, I write for a local newspaper out of Niwot, Colorado, and we recently partnered with a local bookstore. So once a month for the foreseeable future, I will be getting a recommendation from the bookstore itself. It's called Inkberry Books. It's in Niwot. It's a super cute shop. They have a lot of really cool unique finds. They also have author readings sometimes, and those have been pretty fun to go to or read about. So this week's book is called No Lab. It's by an author by the name of Richard Roth. I have had a little bit of trouble finding it anywhere but at this particular bookshop, and as you can see, I'm only partway through, but it's really interesting so far. If you really like art, I think this might be something that you might be interested in. One of the reviews on the back that I truly enjoy is, "No Lab has it all. Art, life, death, and love," in that order. And when I was recommended the book, it was described to me as kind of a little bit sci-fi. Don't be afraid, it's not like Star Trek or anything. It just kind of has a little bit of like an artistic but scientific underlying theme. But the plot so far is super cool. So be sure to look out for my blog and for my vlog on this next week. And that's about it. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.